Hello, my name is Kathy Crawford. I'd like to welcome you to this 5 minutes forward presentation on understanding qualified. This term is used in many regulations related to the Food Safety Modernization Act. Today we're going to focus on the Preventive Controls Rule for Human Food and the Sanitary Transportation Rule. So we'll be looking at the word qualified. As you see, it is listed in the 4 ways listed below. Keep in mind that this pertains to facilities that are regulated by the FDA and fall under FSMA, under the Preventive Controls Rule for Human Food or the Sanitary Transportation Rule. The Preventive Controls Rule for Human Food uses the term qualified individual multiple times, and really almost all employees need to be qualified. What this means is they have to have the education, training, or experience necessary to do their job in such a way that food will be maintained as safe. It's job dependent. Not everyone needs the same level of training. It is required that qualified individuals receive training on food hygiene and food safety, and records of that training must be maintained. So in my opinion, what this means is the qualified individual should be aware of what they have to do within their own job function to protect the food. And they should also have an awareness level of training as to what constitutes risk pertaining to potential cross-contamination that could lead to foodborne illness or potential cross-contact of allergens that could lead to an allergic response from a consumer. So far you can see that you'll probably have quite a few qualified individuals. You should also have at least one of these, a PCQI, which is a Preventive Controls Qualified Individual. This is a QI who has successfully completed training in the development of food safety plans according to the curriculum that is recognized as adequate by the FDA. This does not necessarily mean they need to attend a course, although I highly recommend attending the class, but it does mean they have to have proven ability to complete the function of a PCQI based on their education and experience. And those functions are that they need to be able to prepare a food safety plan, they need to be able to validate preventive controls, they need to know how to do records review, and they need to demonstrate that they can reanalyze a food safety plan. In addition to ensuring your employees are qualified individuals and that you have at least one PCQI, you may also need a qualified auditor. This is necessary if, based on your hazard analysis, you choose to rely on your suppliers to control significant hazards, and you plan to verify this through auditing. In this case, you should have training documented to demonstrate that the individual has the education and experience and training necessary to audit correctly. Typical examples of qualified auditors include government employees, such as USDA or FDA employees, or auditors who work for accredited certification bodies. So far, we've talked about qualified individuals and PCQIs as they pertain to the Preventive Controls Rule for Human Food. The Sanitary Transportation Regulation also uses the word qualified individual. And you'll need one of these if your company or your operations fall under that rule, and you'll need them when there's some sort of a problem. For example, if there's a failure in temperature control or something else happens, for example, an accident or the discovery of a pest control concern. If something like that happens and it may have rendered food unsafe, you'll need that person because the food now cannot be sold or distributed unless a QI determines that the food was not rendered unsafe. So what are the qualifications of a sanitary transportation qualified individual? They're not as clearly stated as they are for a QI or a PCQI, as stated in the Preventive Controls for Human Food. This qualified individual, based on training or experience, is someone with a scientific background so that they understand temperature or other potential deviations that could impact pathogen growth, toxin production, or other unsafe conditions. And based on that knowledge, they're capable of making decisions pertaining to the safety of freight. Finally, we're going to look at the term qualified facility. You might be one of these. That would mean you are a very small business, which means you have less than $1 million in total annual sales of human food, plus the value of the food that might be held without sale by your business. Or if you have food sales that average less than $500,000 a year, during the last 3 years, and sales of food to qualified end users exceed sales to others. Now that's a little bit confusing because we use the word qualified end user while we're talking about qualified facility. Essentially, what that second part means is your food sales average less than $500,000 a year, and most of those sales also go to very small businesses or businesses who for other reasons also might be exempt for certain portions of FSMA. So you might be a qualified facility. I highly recommend you review this definition very carefully because it is quite confusing. If you are a qualified facility, you are exempt from conducting a complete hazard analysis and having a food safety plan as it's described in the Preventive Controls Rule for human food. I hope this presentation was helpful for you to understand better the terms qualified individual, preventive controls qualified individual, and qualified facility. If you need more help, please contact us at info@haccpcg.com. Have a great day.